The gentleman does yield back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Pence, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Rush and Ranking Member Upton, for holding this hearing. Like my colleagues on this committee, I support a diverse, all of the above strategy for energy production. But like my peers on the Republican side, I'm concerned that the one-size-fits-all mandates in the Clean Future Act far outpaces the current state of technology, leaving consumers to foot the bill for higher costs on everything from electricity prices and heating their homes to the appliances they'll need to buy from the department store. All the while, power generation will not have the security of baseload supply from natural gas or coal, resulting in a less reliable grid, as we have recently seen. The provisions for clean energy standards, microgrids, and distributed energy systems, while good in academic theory, all rely on the adoption of technology that is still bridging the gap between basic research and commercialization. In a mere 2.5 years, starting in 2023, zero-emission electricity requirements will begin straining the budgets of our power sector. Even if they started this very afternoon, public power policy agencies, electric co-ops, and utilities in my district will be hard-pressed to incorporate even more renewable energy generation or carbon mitigation equipment into their already robust portfolios. These entities will have no other choice than to raise prices on their ratepayers, my constituents. This bill disregards critical things like permitting reforms that will be necessary to meet its own timeline for infrastructure construction. Carbon capture equipment alone may take 5 years to be fully operational. To find out who will pay for these programs, look no further than to the provisions on electric vehicle infrastructure build-out. To support the extensive electric vehicle network this bill envisions, the language acknowledges expected price increases and gives the green light to pass these costs on to utility customers as a whole. Since electric vehicles will be best suited for urban centers and densely populated areas, rural customers like those in my southeast Indiana will still have to foot the bill. Companies that will likely take advantage of these electric vehicle charging stations will look to the highest rate of return on their investment, meaning they will look towards cities and not the rural and hard-to-reach parts of our country. Even without these extensive subsidy programs that will have been packed into this bill, auto manufacturers operating in the free market are already moving in this direction. Companies throughout Indiana's 6th district are leading the way to produce innovative batteries, hybrid engines, and alternative transportation fuel vehicles. But until this technology can sustain the mileage requirements for those beyond densely populated areas, and recently I've heard complaints about suburbs and the ability to run around, this bill will benefit urban centers at the expense of rural America. Lastly, I'm concerned about the implications this bill will have on pensions that are tied to the companies this bill seeks to put out of business. What happens to hardworking Hoosiers nearing the retirement age, as we have talked about? What will happen to local taxpayers that are investing their savings in anchor institutions in the community that will go under this bill is signed into law? I don't think my Democratic colleagues are prepared for the extensive implications this will have on our communities. Mr. Hoffman, this bill would implement an untested transition program for energy workers. The provisions in this bill would even target the manufacturing sector for light and heavy-duty vehicles, adversely affecting our workers' earnings as well. As a crossroads of America, these programs will directly impact hardworking Hoosiers who have stable, good-paying jobs producing the necessary transportation equipment that our country currently relies on to move goods along our highways. I got into Congress because I've watched for decades the long destruction of the middle class in Indiana as great paying manufacturing jobs have been shipped overseas, leaving Hoosiers with few options to provide for their families. My question to you, sir, will the transformative measures of these bills continue a similar assault on the middle class in my and communities across this country, in your opinion?
I would caution those who think that these systems are simple. These systems are very complex and they require a lot of attention in detail. And there needs to be a great consideration and reverence to the workers who make these systems go and who overall maintain these systems. And that is the best way I can answer that.
Thank you. The gentleman's time is expired.